All right, welcome into Off the Leash. I am Ashley Holder. That is Leah Doherty. OBR is Fred Greetham, and Mark Schwab is back in the building with us. Todd Monken was announced as the 19th franchise head coach today. That was exciting. He brought a lot of color to him. He was way different than Kevin Stefanski. I can tell you that right now. Fred, you were in the building as well. It was just refreshing to see that, he was very passionate about, already the team, what they were looking to accomplish, why he wanted to take the opportunity to be a head coach and come back to Cleveland.
You could just feel the intensity already in there, how long he's been waiting for this opportunity, and the emotions he was showing, that old raspy voice of the football coach. And he had stories and yeah, you could just sense. I've sat through a lot of these, and they're always the guy to turn it around. And he was even asked that, and he said he doesn't have unsuccessful in his vocabulary. But it was kind of a different, and I can see why they were sold on him, especially with what he's done with all the different varieties of quarterbacks and offenses. He was a run heavy, then he switched to the air raid, pass heavy, and it was impressive. I think he's off to a good start.
Did he win the press conference? That's the big thing we always talk about after a big presser, right? GM, owner, coach. Did he win the press? It was good. It was hard not to genuinely enjoy how much he appreciates getting this opportunity, right? Because he is not younger. He is not a younger guy in this game. And he said it, I'm not getting any older, when he was asked if he thought this day would ever come. And it sounded like he was starting to question it. So you love how much he loves to be the coach of this team. You want people that want to be here. You're right. He sounded a lot different than Kevin Stefanski. Good. And I don't need, we don't need rah-rah, shish, boom, bah, but it was 6 years of got to be better. And the real quiet vanilla tone, we're bored of that. That's fine if you win all the time, but it's boring when you lose. We'll see. You never know how good he's going to be. I love the fact, and we'll probably get into this a little bit. When asked about Jim Schwartz, he was respectful, and you could tell he wants Schwartz. But if Schwartz doesn't want to be here, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Todd Monken doesn't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'd like him to be here, but doesn't care if he doesn't want to be here.
I liked
We'll talk more about that.
Yeah, of course. He came off really genuine, and when we've all sat through many press conferences where you hear a lot of coach speak and it's just very monotonous and you're told a lot of promises of like, here's all the things I'm going to come in and do and it's going to be amazing, and it's like, yeah, okay. Like, I'm sure y'all have sat through many times where it's going to be the guy that turns the franchise around, and to me, it was less of like, I'm going to be the guy to turn the franchise around, but you guys had talked about the emotion that he had, how much it means to him. You really can get a sense of that as a guy that's been around in the league so long. And I just think, too, like getting to hear the personal anecdotes about whatever. My mom would try to dress me up as an astronaut or whatever as a kid. And, like, I just always wanted to be the football player. And like you said, too, like he came across how we thought a straight shooter, like hard-nosed, like, great. If you want to be here, great. If you don't, like, I don't care. And here's what we're going to do. And I'm not going to try to say the perfect thing. Like, I really genuinely felt like he was telling us, like, the truth and what was on his mind and what he believed, and, like, not trying to, like, sell us on something. He's like, I've been doing this too long to try to, like, sell you on any fluff. Like, here's what I can bring to the table. Great. The only thing I had thought about was when I think it was Andrew Berry, you guys would probably correct me, it was like he was head and shoulders above the rest or whatever, and we were like, of course, this is what they're going to come in and say, is like, this has been our guy from the jump. I didn't know y'all's sense on that, if you truly felt like this was their leading candidate all along.
Well, I feel like if that was their leading candidate, why did you need to go interview all these people? Not saying that they didn't like him more than others. I kind of felt like he's who was the best option of who they had left.
I can somewhat believe that because, and we talked about this, I think, on our last show, he was like the first or second guy they interviewed. I mean, their actions at the front of this search suggested Monken was somebody they liked a lot. As far as why did, and everyone has said that, you're not the only one. They had to be Rooney Rule compliant. They had to talk to Shieldhouse in person. They couldn't do that until the Monday after the Rams game. They interviewed him, and then like the next day they hired Monken. I think it's pretty evident to look around. People say, why'd they take so long? They had to talk to the guy in Los Angeles because the rule says they had to talk to a guy like the guy in Los Angeles. Whether or not that's right, wrong, indifferent. As soon as they were Rooney Rule compliant, they announced a hire. So I don't think it's a stretch to say he was at the top of their list.
Andrew Berry, after the press conference, was off to the side. We had another one with Haslam, and he alluded that he was one of 8 that they sought externally for permission. And so he was high on their list. And I think that he was kind of the leader in the clubhouse from the get-go when he laid out his plan and told them a lot of things that they wanted to hear about the quarterback, whether it's Shador, about the, right up front. But more than anything, he's turned around offenses just about everywhere he's been. With the Ravens the last 3 years, #1 offense overall in the NFL, scoring 27 points a game. 3rd in the league. All the things the Browns need on offense. But he was realistic. He came back over and over and over. This is a players' league. We're not chipping Myles Garrett. The coach. We're chipping Myles Garrett. And then on offense, the same thing. Lamar Jackson, he didn't sugarcoat Derrick Henry, and having those guys, it takes great players. So it was refreshing, but I do think that they had Jim Schwartz right here, and I think that's what they had, set their sights on, an offensive-minded guy to turn this offense around. They felt they had players good enough on defense to build with.
And like you said, it was refreshing just to see a lot of emotion from him, too. He cried, he laughed, he cursed, he was screaming. I mean, everything. If you didn't get a chance to see that presser today, let's just let you see a little bit of that clip today.
All I ever wanted to do was be part of a team and coach football. That's all. I mean, other than my mom making an Evel Knievel outfit or an astronaut, I was a football player every Halloween. That's all I ever dressed up as.
This is a coach who has had high-level, innovative, adaptable offenses at both the pro and college level. Doesn't matter the personnel, didn't matter the quarterbacks, didn't matter what he inherited. He always found a way to have, high-level and productive units.
Winning's hard. I mean, it is hard, but the reward is unbelievable. I mean, that's what was fun about the thoughts of being the head coach here. I mean, if you like a challenge, let's go. Let's get this to where we're the standard, and the time is now.
I expect we'll win more games. I do, and I think we'll have a better team, better football team, and I think it'll be. What's Terry say? They're ugly to watch sometimes. We're not going to be ugly to watch, okay? And I actually take that seriously. I mean, we want it to be a fun team to watch, a team that plays hard, plays smart, and most of all wins.
I think Jim is an outstanding defensive coordinator. I think we all would agree with that. But I think it's a little inappropriate for me to comment about that at this time. I didn't take this job because of Jim Schwartz. I have a lot of respect for Jim Schwartz, but as I would hope he has for me. But I took it because of the players that are here, the ownership, Andrew Berry, and the ability to build this roster from the ground up on the offensive side. So, and I said this to the other guys. I didn't think I'd say it, but I'm going to say it. When I was preparing for the Cleveland Browns, I wasn't trying to chip Jim Schwartz. I was chipping Myles Garrett. And when I was sliding a protection to the outside backers or Grant Delpit that were blitzing off the edge, I was sliding the protection to the players. And when I was worried about throwing to the right against Denzel Ward or Tyson Campbell to the left, that's who I was worried about throwing at. We're going to keep the same system. We're still going to let them attack. We're still going to let them play free. I can't see any other way. They're a big reason why I took this job. I don't care what it takes to score. It's about scoring points. I would hate to put some sort of any type of connotation as to what system that we are other than playing to our players' strengths.
All right, so, I mean, when it comes down to it, listen, he talked a lot about Jim Schwartz as far as, speaking about him highly and saying, he didn't feel it was appropriate to talk about the status of, what Schwartz was going to do, but you could tell that, hey, I kind of would like him to say here. He didn't really say that, but I felt like that's what he was giving off. But at the same time, he was also saying, if you're here, you're here. If you're not, you're not. He was breaking down that the defense makes the players, not necessarily the coach. It's the players, and then it's the coaching staff that goes along with them, but it pretty much starts with the elite players. Most likely those elite players are not going to leave, which led me to believe that, hey, you're either here, or you're not. I didn't really get the point of I don't know. I just didn't get that he was pressed either way.
I mean, it feels like it's a situation where Todd feels, and I think everyone would agree, it's pretty straightforward. If there's going to be a problem, go away. If there's not going to be a problem, come on in. That's what it boils down to. If there's not going to be a problem, come on in. It reminds me, we've all seen, I believe, Remember the Titans, my favorite football movie of all time.
No, I'm playing.
My top 3. It's in my top 3 of sports movies. Coach Yost does not get it's a slightly different scenario. He basically got fired as the head coach. But then Coach Boone offers him to come in and be the defensive coordinator. First he says, good night, coach. Sends him out. Then he comes back and he says, all right, I'm in. This is the way I want it. And there's some, capitulation there, but they agree to it. Are we going to get a Coach Yost moment?
What a call.
Out of Schwartz.
What a call.
You really want this to Remember the Titans?
Dude, it's a phenomenal movie. It's not historically accurate, but it's still a phenomenal movie.
Well, I think the thing there is that the train's moving. You're either with us or you're not. Jimmy Haslam made it clear that they expect the rest of the defensive staff, or as much as possible, to stay in place. And I could see Ephraim Banda or Jason Tarver being elevated to be the defensive coordinator if Schwartz isn't ready to go. They're going to keep the scheme, everything, the style they built under Jim Schwartz. I don't know why he would not want to see the benefit of it, but if he doesn't, they're moving on. And I do think that they'll keep a lot of the staff, even if it's not Jim Schwartz. I was a big proponent of Schwartz to begin with.
I want to build on that, and I'll get it over to you. But we talked about it before, like, are they rebuilding or whatever, and are they trying to? The fact that they're staying with the same scheme, it adds to this. They want to try and win. They're keeping the players. They're not going to change the scheme. It is successful. The guys know it. Use the players in what works. Fix the offense. Do it fast.
That's what I was going to say, is the fact that he's very players first and focused. Like, we're going to succeed because we have these players on the field. It's not because we have the best defensive coordinator or whatever. Obviously, coaches have a large impact in the game, but, like, we win or lose because of the players that we have on the field. And so that he's already able to recognize that, and he had the great line of, like, we weren't chipping Jim Schwartz. It was Myles Garrett out there. Like, that is my focus, our players. The scheme works with or without Jim Schwartz. So I like that sentiment.
But I could also see how that, if Schwartz is watching this press conference, I can also see how that could maybe tick him off a little bit.
Yeah, but what do you want him to do? Like, beg for him to stay in front of
maybe
the
he wants him
camera
to
or something?
get on a knee, yeah.
But
Maybe beg him or something.
I feel
I don't know, but I'm just saying, I think he would also, I can see Schwartz wanting to feel also very much important.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason
After
their
being
defense
passed up on
is
this as
successful because of the scheme that Jim Schwartz brought in and what he was able to do with the defense.
And he was able to convince Andrew Berry, when everybody knew they needed offense, to use those top 2 picks to get Mason Graham and Carson Swessinger at the request of Jim Schwartz. If he wants somebody else to get the credit for the results. But, yes, I think that, Jimmy Haslam is pretty clear, but they're not going to move on. His pride is hurt. I would feel the same way probably, but if he wants to coach, this is his best chance to coach. Maybe not as the head coach right now, but you don't know. You go out and lock it down this year. There's been successful coaches 60 years and older.
It'd be interesting to see Schwartz, and now that we've talked to Todd Monken in a room together, trying to figure out this offense and this defense. But we're going to take a really quick break. We'll be back with Mark Schwab's True-False Question of the Week.
Off the Leash continues. True-false question of the week, folks. Obviously, we're talking about Todd Monken because he replaced Kevin Stefanski, and when they fired Kevin Stefanski, there was a lot of debate. Should they have done that? Was that the wrong move? 2-time Coach of the Year. They hadn't had anything like that. So, I'm just going to phrase it this way. Kevin Stefanski went to the playoffs 2 years out of his 6 seasons. True or false, Todd Monken will get the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs at least twice.
At least twice?
Just like Kevin Stefanski.
I will say true. Oh, I guess I probably should explain why I think that.
We should start
it's
giving
funny
blanket
how
answers.
just week to week I do not get this true or false question.
Which is amazing. It's basically
amazing.
a 3rd grade exercise. I don't know.
Well,
Wow.
relax, Mark. But no, I would say true because you already have the defense there, right? We were able to see in 23 what that defense was able to do. And when Joe Flacco came in, took over for the offense, mid-season, right off the couch, they were able to make it to the playoffs, to the wild card. And I could see that, not that exact situation, but if you have the offense put together, you get a quarterback under center, and if it's Shador, we'll just say if it's a young guy and not Deshaun, and give him a full season. I think that we were able to see some of the things that he was able to do. So if you get some receivers, you get a good O-line that can protect your quarterback, I think that, I could see them doing it, especially when you have some other teams in the AFC North trying to get their stuff together as well. They're going to have a new look as well.
I feel like true. For the reasons Ashley said, if they can go and get a receiver, which, Lord willing, they get a receiver. Also, if we're giving him, I don't know if he's going to have 6 years like Stefanski did. Hopefully it works out and he sticks around for a long time. Y'all know that doesn't happen too often here. But twice, I feel like they have a lot of really good young pieces in place that are only going to get better. I obviously don't know how the quarterback situation is going to pan out. But when you have guys like Quinshon Judkins coming back, if you hopefully get a good receiver, like Ashley said, you had the defense in place. We go back to, I really feel like we can only go up. We really can only go up. So I feel like at least twice, I would say positive.
You definitely were not here for 1 in 31.
No,
if you think it can only go up.
No. I'm talking. Look, I guess. I would find it hard to believe.
I understand what you're getting at.
Yes. Oh, I know that it can get much worse, but I'm talking about with the current pieces they have in there. I would, if they really fell off, fell off more than they already have. Right. I would be very surprised.
So worse than 1 in 31 is just 0 and
30. That would be 0 and 32. That's the only way you could actually get
it. And I don't foresee that happening.
I don't think, definitely not.
I say true.
We're so positive.
It's easier than ever to make the playoffs now, except for the Browns. But with this division in flux, that can't be undersold. You got 2 long-term coaches in the Ravens and the Steelers turning over. There's no guarantee that they found Mike Tomlin or John Harbaugh there. And 7 teams make it out of 16, so I think that he will get the offense going enough and they'll make the playoffs.
I hate this question. That's why I asked it. Because my head says true, my heart says false. For all the reasons you guys laid out. They're not that far away, right? You need a quarterback and some guys to block and 1 extra dude maybe to catch. You could fix that in the NFL in 1-2 off seasons. And you got this defense, you got all that. The answer should be true. Yes, he will. I will say false.
Nice.
Because the one thing that stands in the way of the Cleveland Browns and success is the Cleveland Browns.
True.
And I swear, and it sounds like I'm a curmudgeon. It sounds like I'm being a jerk, and I hate it, but I've just watched this team for too long. They screw it up. And so I can't give them the benefit of the doubt. That's what it boils down to. Do you give them the benefit of the doubt to fix the small deficiencies they have to put together with the defense and the running game and all that, and the coach who I like Todd Monken, I think he's going to be fun. But I can't see the Browns not Brownsing this up because they're the Browns. So I don't want to be the curmudgeon and the jerk and the Johnny Raincloud, but by golly, I think I just became that because I can't give them the benefit of the doubt.
So basically, you just think the Browns are going to Browns.
That's a fair assessment. Based off what you've seen, yeah. It's like
it's funny. It's sorry not to cut you off. This side has no experience on the Browns.
So we can say positive.
You guys have all the experience of the Browns.
But Fred was positive on that. He said true. I want to say true. I can't.
Because they should, right?
They should.
They should.
Logic says they should. With that defense, you can have an average quarterback. Just don't be terrible. Get some guys to block, an extra dude to catch. You can run the ball. You should be good. They always screw it up.
You're not wrong.
We're going to take a really quick break. We'll be back with more on Off the Leash. All right, so after Todd Monken talked to the media for about 30 minutes, he took some time to speak one-on-one to some of the stations, and I had a chance to just ask him a couple of questions about how crazy his last couple weeks are and just how excited he is to take over this Cleveland Browns team. All right, Coach, congratulations and welcome back to Cleveland. My first question is, what was so appealing about taking your first head coaching job back in Cleveland?
Well, when I was here in 19, you could see how special this place could be, starting with ownership, like the commitment of Dee and Jimmy Haslam to building a consistent winner. and not just by talk, but by resources, investing in staffing, investing in players, investing in facilities. You could see their commitment and their drive, and that's where it all starts.
We saw a fun interaction between you and Shedeur Sanders last week, and we got a little bit of a sample size of Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel. What excites you most of working with those two young quarterbacks as well as the rest of the quarterbacks room?
Well, I think you've got two young players that still have a long way to go in terms of development, and that's part of the learning curve in the NFL. And then you've got a player like Deshaun who's coming back from injury and at one time was a Pro Bowl player and an elite player in this league, that we would love to tap back into that, let alone with Dillon and Shedeur. I mean, I'm excited. I'm ready to get going.
You know how passionate this Dog Pound fan base is. Only 8 wins in the last 2 seasons. What is your message to fans saying, you're the guy to turn this franchise around?
Well, I'm not a big self-promoter. And at the end of the day, like I would say, let's just wait and see the finished product. And rather than putting a cap or a floor in terms of where we are or where we're going to go, so let's let it play out. And I came here for that reason. I came here for the opportunity to build this into and help build this into a consistent winner.
All right, so there it is. I mean, the fans want to be able to get some wins. I'm sure the Browns want some wins. Jimmy Haslam said, look, I'm not going to tell you a number on the wins we're going to get, but we need to have more than 8 wins over, 2 years. So hopefully that's what everybody can get at the end of the day. It's going to be a lot. He already said the next thing he's going to be doing is basically getting his team together, narrowing down this staff, and getting to work.
On to the next. That's my fun. On to the next. It's a fun day, but we can't talk about draft, can't talk about free agency, can't even talk about quarterbacks. Needs the staff, the OC, figure out Schwartz, position coaches. On to the next. That's next.
I would say the one thing that we haven't really touched on, the fact that he has been in the league for this long, he was in the same division, he was here for a year. He has seen the chaos that is the Cleveland Browns and still saw enough promise and wasn't like, heck no, I'm staying far away from that organization. The fact that he saw enough promise to come there, that gives me a little bit of hope. I don't know how y'all feel since you've been doing this longer. But the fact that he was in the same division, was here for a year, not a good year, same ownership, and still feels good about coming back.
It gives me promise as well. He reminds me of Bruce Arians, who was an assistant with the Browns, longtime offensive coordinator, never got a chance to be an NFL head coach. He was with Chuck Pagano and the Colts, who got sick. He took over and led the Colts, and then he got the head coaching job in Arizona and led the Buccaneers to the Super Bowl. Ooh. And he didn't start till he was 60.
Oh, well, listen, are you saying the Browns going to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I'm saying
everyone's positive but Mark.
They have a shot.
You're telling me there's a chance.
I want to be so wrong. I want to do.
Listen,
I want to cover a Super Bowl. That'd be amazing.
You know what? Listen, the Browns are going to the Super Bowl. Mark Schwab and Fred Greetham says that it's happening. All right, that's another episode of Off the Leash for Ashley Holder, Leah Doherty, OBR's Fred Greetham, and Mark Schwab. This is Off the Leash. Make sure you tune in every Tuesday and also listen to wherever you get your podcast. We'll see you later.